This is webinar number 14, Dress the Knight to Slay the Dragon, a great metaphor for all of us who want to embark on a process of transformation and confront some of our own fears, shadows, or demons along the way. This webinar is covering some of the content we cover in our regular training module 1, Revealing Essence. This is what basically the training culminates to, in a sense. And I'm presenting it here because it's really good information for coaches, for leaders, consultants, anyone, healers, psychologists, for anyone who's doing sessions with clients. And it's also very useful for any kind of an interaction where you're working at an issue with someone or even with yourself. So this is good for self-coaching. It's giving you a template for how to set yourself up or set the client up to embark on a process of transformation that is resilient, that is creative and genuine. Because, look, transformation is a process of opposites working together, let's say. I mean, we all think, oh, I'm going to create something, I'm going to change something. But in that process of change, we are deconstructing something and then reconstructing. And what that means is the person going through the change process is going to feel a destabilization and then a restabilization, all right? And what many people don't think about or are not prepared for is that deconstruction or destabilization. They think, ah, I have an issue, I just want to change it, let's get to work. And they don't realize that something needs to get pulled apart in order to be reassembled back together. And they'll find that destabilization period sometimes very threatening. And that destabilization and deconstruction is happening right at the very beginning. And if it's not properly addressed, all you're going to meet is resistance to change. All right. So what I'm giving you here is a template to handle that so you can alleviate that initial resistance to change, whether that's conscious or unconscious. And it sets the process of transformation on the right track. Meaning, like, you could say, hey, I want to jump out of a plane. I want to, do some skydiving. Okay. But are you going to just jump out of the plane? No, you need some setup and some preparation in order to be ready to jump. All right. And in my years of training coaches, particularly, they're so excited, they and the client are so excited to dig into the transformation, they're actually jumping out of the plane before they're even ready, to extend the metaphor. So I'm giving you a template here, how to get them ready to make the jump, okay? That's what I mean by dressing up the knight. The knight has armor. They gotta have a sword, a shield, the armor. They need to know what is the quest they're on in order to enter the deep, dark forest and face that dragon that they slay. Once they slay the dragon, they get all the great rewards, the Holy Grail, etc. And they're through that dark forest of transformation. And really, transformation is like going into the dark forest. It is entering the unknown. And then you come out the other side, reassembled, transformed, different, better, enjoying your rewards. Any comments from you there, just on what I've said to introduce? Yeah, go ahead, Benjamin.
Yeah, just an image which came up to my mind I want to share with you. So it appears to me that the apparently goal moves into the background, from the foreground to the background. So I want transformation to achieve a goal. So I'm focusing on transformation, which you say, okay, you're not only focusing anymore on transformation, so transformation is rather a side effect of the preparatory process we indulge in. So we achieve transformation as a side effect. And with that side effect, we achieve another goal. And that's the nested nature of the fractal pattern, isn't it?
Yeah, that's basically it. If we focus too much on the transformation, I need to transform, we may be creating more resistance. Whereas, as I'll show you in the template, fine, you have a focus point, you know what your goal is, you know what you want to become or transform into. But transformation is a process, and we need to be prepared to go through the process. And just in the preparation itself, what I'm presenting you is how to set that foundation. And what it does is it initiates a fractal pattern. So in fact, the preparation contains the whole fractal of the transformation. And then from there, everything just blossoms and flowers on its own automatically. So yes, ironically, by focusing away from the transformation actually does happen. Yeah, yeah. Okay, you're smiling, you're enjoying that. For some of you listening, whether it's the recording or live, that might sound weird and counterintuitive, but as we go through this, it will start to make sense for you. I just wanted to know if I wanted to add anything here. I could go very much in depth. What I'm really doing here is I'm going to give you the template. I'm going to scratch the surface. I'm going to give you good examples, good things to work with that you can walk away with. But during our module, we go more in depth, okay? We only have an hour here, so I'm going to try and cover as much as I can. But what I'm going to give you, it is very simple. Just your logical mind may have a hard time wrapping around this. It may not. I don't know. Paul, you had something you wanted to add?
Yeah, quick question. Slaying the dragon is on one side fearful, on the other side it might take a while. Do you address both?
Yeah, and I would say time isn't an issue.
Okay.
Okay, so that even just in the process of preparing to slay the dragon, they actually are slaying the dragon.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing.
It's sneaky. They don't realize it as they go.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, change actually happens in an instant. It's the buildup to change that takes the time. And the more we cultivate resilience in an individual, the more they can ramp up that buildup to change. Yeah. If they keep resisting and suffering and cycling and recycling, it's going to take them a long time to get to that change. But then when change wants to happen, it will. Okay, but they have to be ready for it. Yeah, go ahead, Benjamin.
So it seems to me that it's required to sharpen the skill, the ability to observe the difference between preparatory phase and the manifestation phase. So what we see is the manifestation. We usually tend, I feel, to confuse it with the preparatory steps. So I only see the visible stuff. So which lends to the conclusion, which is erroneous, that I'm assuming, well, it's only happening what I'm seeing there, which it isn't. I don't see the preparatory steps in the background.
Most people are skipping over those preparatory steps. They're in such a rush to manifest the change that the first obstacle or challenge they hit with it, they can abandon it, or they'll make a fearful choice and recycle.
Yeah.
It might be a pointer to, hey, reconsider, go back to the preparatory phase. No, it isn't. We conclude falsely, I need to force it even more. Yeah. Which is wrong. So.
And what can happen often is we start self-criticizing, self-punishing, and we start pushing ourselves, obligating ourselves, forcing a change, and then we're meeting all this resistance. We're spending all kinds of energy in a very tense polarity against ourselves. And there's a way to alleviate that tension, all right? This relates very much to last week's webinar, number 13, Releasing Fear and Taming Obstacles. Again, as we discussed the creative cycle, there is an initial phase of generation, generating the idea, generating the energies, and then going out and manifesting. And if we don't spend time in that generation phase, we're not going to manifest very much. The same thing with the transformation process. We need to spend time setting the foundation of generating the idea of the transformation, the focus of the transformation, plus the energy and the investment, and then we can, it's easier to take the actions, okay? So, I think I've covered pretty much what we're doing here. So I'm giving you a template for how to set up your client on a dynamic journey of transformation. Dynamic meaning that they're involved, that they're willing, and they desire that. I mean, they'll walk in with a desire, but they may not have the willpower for it. So, and you're keeping resistance low and resilience high so that they have momentum. Instead of spending so much energy fighting the resistance, they can actually flow through the transformation. What's really important is how to clarify the focus of the transformation. What exactly are we embarking on? And then building investment in that process. And that is going to increase their desire and their willpower to go through that destabilization and deconstruction so they can restabilize and reconstruct. All right. And you know, you're going to get tips on how to calm those initial fears or resistance, whether they're conscious or not, so that they can embark on their desired change process. And there's something to add to that too, is that they need to question their desires of what exactly they're trying to change. Because if the whole process is based upon fear and reactivity, it's a false transformation right from the beginning. So what I'm building into this template is how to test that out, how to test the waters and see what's the real transformation they want to make on a deeper level, as opposed to just their initial idea of what the transformation is supposed to be, because they may be trying to transform something in order to run away from something. And then the transformation isn't going to happen, and the issue is just going to chase them down, right? Okay. I know all of you live here on the webinar already have seen this, but for those watching the recording later, just a brief summary of what emergent essence dynamics is, what it does. It's working with fractal patterns. All relationships are functioning through patterns, and those patterns are driving the person and the issue, meaning the people in relationship and the relationship issues. And what I mean by relationship issues, it could be relationship to myself, to another person, an event, the world, time, everything is in a relationship. Nothing is in isolation, and everything is following patterns and polarities, balancing each other out, opposites, balancing and complementing or opposing. So what we do is we can take an issue and we're looking at how does that issue affect the person, what kind of pattern is happening, and then we're going to go and shift the pattern. When we shift the pattern, both the person and the issue is going to transform automatically, and there's where transformation is the side effect, all right? So we're looking at what are the fundamental patterns driving human dynamics as it relates to coaching, leadership, mediation, facilitation, etc. We're transforming the pattern in a resilient space. If we try to transform the pattern in a resistant or fear-driven space, it's not going to transform. It's going to contract and hold together and reassert itself. We need to enter the person in a resilient space where they're resilient with themselves, so they can be more open, more fluid, and so they can begin to deconstruct and reassemble. That is what's going to lower the resistance. It is the resilience, right? And resilience means getting in touch with their core vitality, with their innate will to live, to move, to drive, to create. It is a creative energy that is fundamental to everyone. However, fear, crisis, stress, anxiety, all of that can distract us from our resilience. And then we're seeking safety, resilience, fulfillment outside of ourselves, and we don't realize that it all starts from within, right? Usually we get in touch with our resilience through crisis. We don't necessarily get in touch with them on a daily basis. And EED is reorienting yourself to think through resilience, to see resilience in everything, because it's always there. Any comments on that? Or is it all good? All right. So what I'm going to show you is a template on how to get that resilience established, all right? if we don't do that, if we jump into transformation too soon, what can possibly happen? What could possibly go wrong? Because a lot of people do this. And it's by not their fault, because in our enthusiasm to transform, in fact, if you're a coach, you're paid to transform, right? If you're a leader of a team, you're paid to lead the team through transformation. I mean, if you're running big business and they say, hey, we've got changes in place, we got to make these changes, you got to lead them. The problem is we jump in too soon. So what could possibly go wrong if we jump in? Any ideas, or from your experience or imagination here? Can you guys
People get shocked and they jump off and they don't want to work with you.
Yeah, it could cause
yeah.
rebellion, strong resistance, trust issues. Yeah.
Trust issues. They're like taking it personal. They think you're not professional. Or for yourself, you can disregard your personal development and say, it's not the right thing and I need to work on something else. Like you can get into this stumbling mode and not having a nice flow anymore.
And most of what you're describing are projections anyways. They're already fearful, unconsciously fearing that what's going to take place. I don't want to disassemble, therefore I'll project onto you. Okay, I don't trust you, you're incompetent, they're throwing all of these things because they don't want to get cornered, right? They know they're cornered. Okay, someone else was starting to speak. I interrupted.
You become so aggressive because you don't have it mature yet. So you'll be imposing, or they'll see you aggressive, or you'll be doing like a smile. So it will be like some pushing, shoving.
Those of you who are team coaches, you're told, hey, you're hired here to do a team building day. Half the team wants to be there, half the team doesn't. I mean, you're already set up to to meet resistance, right? Because not everybody's on board with it. It's just from the directive on top, from the top, and then say, we got to go through this team day. Okay. Benjamin, you wanted to add something?
I love your observation. I don't have to raise my hand anymore. That's automatically right.
Okay. And then
just how I lift this up. Well, you first or me first?
Yeah. No, go ahead. I was just going to show some points here as we went along, but go ahead. Yeah.
Slow. No, you have to go first.
Okay. Well, if it comes back,
yeah.
I've listed a few things here. It's not all encompassing, but there is the risk that if you take the first thing, like, we're going to work on this. I'm having problems at work. I need to get along better with my boss or my colleagues. Well, that just because it's the initial topic doesn't mean it's the real topic. Look at that as the initial doorway into something deeper. It doesn't mean that's the real issue. It could be a red herring. So don't necessarily go with the first topic. You got to work with it a bit. I'll show you how to do that to see what else is underneath. It's a symptom of a root cause, okay? And what we're looking for is to get more to the root cause of what's going on. That's going to reveal the root pattern. So also what you could run into is a client that's a bit ambiguous, or they're bringing the same topic again and again, running in circles. They're never really getting their homework done, right? So don't be too quick to work with the first thing that's put on the table. Also, if there's a low investment or a high resistance, that means you're going to do all the work, meaning you're going to be expected to consult. You're going to be expected to rescue. You're going to be poking and prodding and pulling teeth. And the client can just sit back and say, you do your work. And it's so easy for them to say, hey, it's not working. I guess you're incompetent. Or, hey, it's not working. I guess I'm difficult to work with. I'm a hard nut to crack, right? Which is false, okay? There's also a risk of, like I said, repeating issues because we're not addressing the root cause. We're just scratching the surface. We're only getting the tip of the iceberg. And all these issues are relating back to a basic fractal pattern So if we're not getting to that basic pattern, it's almost like playing whack-a-mole. Lots of little fires are starting and you're trying to put them out, but they're starting up here and there and everywhere. And we're really making no headway. And it just feels like we're going in circles. Also, to jump into transformation, there's a risk of creating a feel-good session. Ooh, the client's in pain. I just want to make them feel better. I want to rescue them, or they want to rescue themselves. Or it could work in the opposite fashion where it just becomes a session of self-punishment. Like, yeah, see, I'm so screwed up. Oh, see, I really don't know my values. You see, I'm really tough to work with. And they will be punishing themselves throughout the session and eating up their own resistance. If you jump in too soon, then it can be just a fear-driven process, could be a false transformation, and all it's doing is increasing their stress, anxiety, sense of obligation, which will eventually lead to non-action, which will just create more feel-good sessions or self-punishing sessions, which will create more of the issues repeating. It just all stacks up, all right? And in the end, it can create codependency with you, whether you're consulting or whether you're coaching or leading, but you're going to get off your role where you're going to end up trying to do the easy fixes, solve the problems, but they're not cultivating any of their own resilience or autonomy. They're depending on you to make the issue go away. Now, that could be good for business, but it's not good for the client. So in fact, it's antithetical to the business, all right? Any comments there or anything you relate to? Just to say yes, no, familiar, not familiar, or yeah,
cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm saying is don't jump in so fast to immediately transform. When I used to supervise coaches, the client would say, they'd say, what's your topic? And I'd say, oh, my dog is sick. Okay, well, what are some of your values? What are the values getting stepped on? I'm like, no, you got to work a little bit more here with what exactly are they addressing in themselves. Okay, so let's go into this template. Setting the foundation to kick off a transformational process. The first thing you want is the focus. Now you want to play with the focus a bit, and I want to define what I mean by focus. Notice I'm not putting topic here, okay? Everyone's going to have a topic or an issue to put on the table, but what it really is, it's a focus point for the client. It's something for them to focus their energies on, and what you're looking for is how are they affected by what they're focusing on. So that focus point triggers the client. How are they affected? Because really the ultimate topic or focus is how is the client in relationship to themselves? Because that is one of the core fractal patterns here. And what they end up doing is, however they're in relationship to themselves, they project that out onto the world so they can work out that pattern through the world, meaning what's in here is being projected out there. So all those issues are really caused from what's in here. Now, you don't tell the client that because they'll say, what do you mean? I'm feeling like a victim. How is it my fault? It's not that it's their fault. It's that they're working out that role of a victim, okay? And there's a lesson to learn in that role. You wanted to add something there, Benjamin?
Yeah, in a sense, it sounds to me like we are viewing into the world through the glasses of our relationship to ourselves.
Yes.
Replicating that pattern to the relationship with others. So what is the difference at the bottom line between the relationship of me and someone else and me and myself? Is there some difference?
It's basically the same thing. It's that you're playing a dual role within. Now you're choosing one of those roles and projecting it out onto the other person and casting them in that other role to play out the pattern, okay? If I'm feeling like a victim, I need to be in relationship with a persecutor to justify my role as a victim. Okay.
And if I don't, the relationship is not fair with the persecutor.
Right. Now, I may not like the issues that I'm running into, the challenges. I may not like the patterns that I'm seeing. And so I end up resisting them. And this is why I'm in a rush to transform them, because I'm saying, I don't like these patterns and I want to get rid of them. I want to eliminate them. But the patterns are asking the client to look at the lesson they can take from the pattern. Once they've absorbed the lesson that it presents, there's no need for that pattern to run anymore. So all of our issues are presenting ultimately a lesson for us to learn. What's the lesson? The lesson is going to activate a new strength. It's going to awaken a new strength that we can incorporate, which adds to our range of self-expression. All right. Every pattern is designed to open our range so that we keep unfolding and blossoming in our human experience. All right. We're presented with resistance to wake up. All right. That's a little bit philosophical, maybe esoteric, but this is why it's important to establish a focus that is specific, so that we're looking at how is the client affected by their issue. It's not about solving the issue. It's how are they affected by it. And that's going to reveal how they're behaving towards it. It's then going to reveal what needs to be rearranged in their relationship to that issue so that they can be more resilient with that challenge or problem, more creative with it, so they can master the problem as opposed to just put a Band-Aid on it or fix it or eliminate it. Is this?
We're rather interested in the source, which is invisible, instead of the visible manifestation, which we cannot change.
No, we can't change the circumstance, but we certainly can change our relationship to the circumstance. And that way, then we can co-create with the circumstance, and then everything starts to shift and change. But the change begins with ourself. Now, normally we're saying, oh, the circumstance must change in order for me to change. And it's actually the other way around. But it's sometimes hard to get into that mindset. So we need to play along with the client, all right, and say, yeah, okay, so you're having a hard time at work. You're having trouble with your boss, or you're having trouble with your colleagues. Well, let's get a little bit more specific and let's make that more personal. Let's make it up close, because a lot of clients are going to try and keep a distance from it. Oh, they'll be ambiguous. So I might ask a question like, well, who exactly are you having problems with? Which colleague? What exactly is happening with your boss? I'm not asking that to gain information so I can start fixing it or solving it. I'm asking that so I'm creating a strong relationship with the topic so that the client is more strongly affected, because that's going to reveal how they're in relationship with it. Okay, if they're ambiguous, I'm going to get no real sparks of response. I'm just going to get a dead energy, a low investment. So, okay, so who are you having problems with? Oh, I'm having problems with Mr. A and Miss B. Okay, well, what's going on? Well, I think they're trying to undermine me, and they're taking credit for work I do. I'm too nice to confront with them on it. You know, they're taking credit. They undermine me in the meetings. Well, what exactly do they say? Well, they're basically kind of stealing my ideas and presenting it as their own. Well, what's it like to look into their eyes and know that they're stealing from you? Oh, I just hate them. Okay, you see, now I've got them triggered. When I'm making it so specific, like see their face, look into their eyes, hear what they're saying to you, smell their breath as they say it. That's bringing it up close. And then why does this personally matter to you? Well, because I'm up for promotion. Oh, okay. And they're undermining me. I'm not even going to get that promotion. Okay. So now we've got a focus. You see, they're already triggered, right? We want them to get triggered up with that focus. How you guys doing with this? with my hypothetical example. Okay, when we start specifying the focus, what's going to happen is they're going to get more invested, not just in the focus, but in the change process itself. Plus, we're going to find opportunities to capture the resilience already at work. All right. Investment is why bother working with this issue. The resilience is how are you already using strength within yourself to tolerate the issue. There's already resilience here. All right. Now, if this topic didn't matter, they wouldn't bring it to the table. So there's something that matters here. And so we need to find out, well, how is this important? That's going to start creating investment and create a stronger relationship, not only with their focus or topic, but in the whole change process. To further build investment, we can ask, well, what would you like to change? Well, I'd like my clients to get, my colleagues to get along with me and support me and actually recognize the hard work I do. Well, what difference will that make? How will that affect you? What are the possibilities that open up then? What opens up in you? Okay. That's going to start building a future vision. All right. We're not saying we're going to guarantee that change. What we're saying is, what are they invested in here about? Because then the next question will come, all right, so what's the benefit? If that change happens, what's the benefit? What is that shift in you? How much do you want that? And what will it demand of you to get that? That's where they've got to roll up their sleeves and do the work, all right? That's those two questions, how much do you want it? And what does it demand of you to get that, is going to cultivate desire and willpower, all right? Like I said, they've been dealing with the issue before they came to you for a consultation or a coaching or anything. So they've been using a natural strength already to deal with it. It just might be misfired. It might be misoriented, if that's a word, misoriented. What we want to do is capture that natural strength they are already using, feed that back into their well-being, so that they can get more in touch with their internal essence as opposed to seeking power from something outside themselves. So we already want resilience cultivated because they're going to use that resilience during the session when they start disassembling themselves and that pattern to find out what is it they really need to confront in themselves in order to shift the issue. So there's where we need to do resilience work. So these three work together. By establishing a clearer focus, it's already going to build investment. It's already going to reveal natural resilience. The more resilience they have, the more it's already going to shift their issue, and that's going to increase more investment. So the three work together. And when you get the three working together, it already actually starts solving the issue. So one little trick I can do is say, okay, what's the focus? What's important about it? Then I can put that focus aside and just spend a few minutes building the natural resilience in them. Anchor that and say, now from this resilient place, what is it like to look at your topic or to deal with the topic from your natural resilience? Already it shifts because they become more fluid and flexible. And they're already getting creative ideas on what possible solutions are. That can then increase more investment. And then all we need to find out is, all right, you've already got some sort of a solution coming from your natural resilience. So what's the real exploration here? Meaning, in order to get the solution you already know is possible, what does it demand of you to overcome in yourself or to confront in yourself in order to get to that future outcome? All right, that's going to show you the deeper layer of the issue. So it's not that my clients, my colleagues keep undermining me at work. They keep stealing my ideas. Well, what I'm really fearful of confrontation I will not hold them accountable. I'm too nice. I'm actually giving away my ideas. I'm not fighting back because I can't stand violence and I can't stand upset in the workplace. I'm just making this up. So what do I need to confront in myself? My relationship to upset, violence, or even just to assert myself. Why? Well, in fact, I feel kind of worthless. So I'm not giving myself credit, and therefore the world is not bothering to give me credit. So what is it like to actually praise yourself? Oh, it's not good because I'm too much of a perfectionist. I can always do better. Well, what would it be like if you could find self-appreciation? What would it be like if you could let go of a rigid perfectionism and actually give yourself rewards on a daily basis and appreciate the good work you do? What would that shift in your relationship with yourself? Oh, I guess I'd go easier on myself and I'd become maybe more generous because I don't have to fight for my ideas all the time, because I actually realize maybe I have unlimited creativity here. Just, I've learned over life that the more people steal my ideas, the more I can come up with a new idea. All right, so you have this incessant fountain of creativity. What are you so worried about now? Oh my God, if I could just relax with myself. Do you guys get it? How I know I'm going through a hypothetical situation, but I'm digging through the layers, and it's really not about the colleagues. It's about the person's own self-worth, self-esteem, and then being able to stand behind their own ideas and creativity, but also learn generosity. So is this making sense, or am I babbling? Just give me some bounce back here.
No, it's cool. It makes total sense.
All right.
I mean,
All right.
I could add that I love the question from the investment side, like when this problem will be vanished, what will be better, or how will you notice? And it already gives you a sneak view on how the world, when you do it personally, on how the world looks when you overcame it. And then you will bounce back because you didn't do the exploration and the solving. But it already is, as you said, it's compact the whole session in the focus, investment, and resilience.
And it is a little bit of a trick. You purposefully indulge in the client, okay, in the client's sort of victim mode. So what needs to change out there? Don't ask them, what do you need to change in yourself? Because it's just going to put up a wall of resistance and say, this isn't my fault. They're causing the problem, right? Nobody wants to be put in that position. So then ideally, what would you love to see different or changed? Indulge in that. Then start bringing it back to them. Like, let them enjoy, like you're fast forwarding them over the obstacles. Say the obstacle's already gone, it's solved, it's eliminated, it's resolved. What's that future look like? Then work backwards and say, all right, so what does that give back to you? What's the new strengths that are awakened? And then in order to get there, now what does it demand of you? To bridge yourself over there, okay? It's not, we can't just wave a magic wand and say obstacles are gone, right? But they need to go into that imagined future, build some resilience there, then bring it back to the present and say, all right, how much do you want it? Oh, I want it a lot, 15 out of 10, all right? What are you willing to do to get there, okay? What does it demand of you? So that's a way of building the desire and the willpower to go through the exploration. Another great question is, all right, so you have a very clear idea of what you need to master in yourself or what it demands of you to get to that future outcome. If there's pain along the way, what is it worth to you to go through that pain in order to get that holy grail that you're after? Meaning, use the metaphor of the knight. The knight needs to go through the deep, dark forest, slay the dragon in order to save the princess that he loves. All right? Is that love strong? That's the desire. That's going to fuel his quest, okay, to go save the princess. There's going to be a dragon there, okay? He's got to have resilience, meaning he's got to have the sword of Excalibur. He's got to have the armor in order to face the dragon head on. And he knows the sword of Excalibur gives him invincibility. Therefore, that enables him to face the dragon. We want to cultivate that sword of Excalibur in the client so that they know, hey, no matter what demons I face along the way, I know I'm capable of defeating them because I'm invincible, I'm resilient, I'm creative, all right? If you send that poor knight naked in the forest without a sword or armor, he knows he's going to get killed, so he's not going to go, right? I don't care how much he loves that princess, right? So that's why the resilience is important. You're cultivating desire and investment. That's like cultivating the love for the princess. They know the prize they're after. They have to want it, and it has to come from strength, not from fear, all right? Does that make sense? Because that's going to compel them forward. That's going to move them through the forest. Then, hey, I'm going to warn you, there are a few dragons along the way before you meet that princess. And she's locked up in that castle. And you're going to have to find a way into the castle. And there's guards at the door, etc. So are you prepared to have those confrontations? Yes, I am. Well, what enables you to have those confrontations? What if you get kicked, scratched, bruised? Oh, no, no, no. Because when I'll fight my way through, because I know that I know what the love of the princess is going to bring me. I know what the reward is. I know what the Holy Grail is that I'm after. So that's important. I have to know what I'm going for and what it demands of me. Go ahead, Benjamin. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Okay. So what I feel it's a sort of dualism. So I'm sort of going after this. So once I'm over with all the dragons and I'm unified in a sense with the knight, it's not only that it's then when I'm enjoying and immersed with the essence, rather it's the essence I anticipate it in the investment phase, and the essence enables me to reach the essence. So it's basically I presuppose it in myself. It's already there. So the dragons make it only visible. On the way, I'm just reinforcing it. By this, I feel, isn't it the way that the focus on the topic becomes less important, the focus on the essence becomes more important. So I don't care about the specific topic of the day, because I know I can make this. It's just another dragon, which relates to the essence, and I really care about the essence anymore.
Yeah. And you can make it even a larger picture. Okay, so you got that one issue. I'm going to shift my relationship to my colleagues at work. Okay, in order to do that, I need to work on my own self-worth, self-esteem, my own relationship to creating upset, to be able to have to be able to stand up for myself or have the confrontation, come from strength and generosity, blah, blah, blah. So I can ask, okay, so you slay that dragon. What else opens up in your life? What else does this affect? Where else in your life? So it becomes an even larger issue. Oh, well, this not only, if I could master this in myself, this will shift the relationship to my mother, my spouse, my kids, my work habits, my colleagues, my boss. It could change everything. Okay, and that increases the investment and the will and the desire as well. Go ahead, Benjamin.
Sorry for interrupting you. It's self-propagating.
That's right. It will amplify. Yeah, yeah. Once we found a core pattern, we can also look at, okay, where else is this pattern showing up? Then we can just work on, in the most manageable way, the core pattern. All right. One thing we do also in EED, this is a little bit off topic, but we might see the pattern showing up in several areas where it's the same pattern. So let's work on the easiest area to manage the pattern. All right. If I'm having a similar dynamic with my spouse who I've been married to for 20 years, Yet I'm also having the same dynamic with a colleague I just started working with for 2 months. I think it's going to be worthwhile to work with the colleague first to shift that pattern, because there's way less history and way less attachment. So I have more freedom and it's of low consequence. Whereas my spouse of 20 years, I might be intimidated to shift that pattern if things go wrong. Do you understand what I mean? Same pattern, but one has high consequence, the other has low consequence. So that's also partly what we can determine is during that setting up of the foundation is, okay, well, what's the easiest way in to that forest to slay the dragon? And let's not slay the big one first. Let's slay the small dragons that lead up to the big one, right? So that even can become a fractal for multiple sessions, all right? But what we're doing here when we're setting the foundation is we're mapping out the territory that we're about to explore. Then, and this could take 5, 10, 15 minutes. It doesn't have to take long. It takes longer to explain, okay, than to do. Then the rest of our session is the actual exploration. We've got the deeper layers, we've got the deeper issues to start exploring, but we already have a map, we already have our armor, we already have our calling, our quest, and our fuel to do it. The advantage of that too is if your session is cut short, because we've done this foundational work, the client can go off on their own and continue the work by themselves because they've got the investment, the desire, the will, and the resilience to deal with the lesson that came out of their initial focus, all right? That's a lot of information. Just let me know any comments there, because I've got another slide to show you for just some sample questions. And maybe I can even do a quick example. Yeah.
Well, does it matter from which resilience we start the endeavor? Does it make a difference? No.
No, because really it's almost like all roads lead to Rome, okay?
With
no matter which doorway you enter the resilience, as you work to purify that resilient energy, it all lands basically in the same essential place. I mean, and this is what we're learning during the modules, right? It's how do you peel away the layers to purify and distill that resilient energy. So it's well anchored and pure, not driven by fear. So yeah, it doesn't matter which way in, it's all going to end up at the same place. Go ahead, Benjamin.
I'm just interested in understanding it the way you intend it to be understood. So the relationship between focus and investment. So I'm investing, I want to invest, I want the client to invest in the topic to make the pattern more visible.
Yes.
And then I use in the next steps the pattern for what? To reveal the connection and establish the connection to the resilience. So that's the investment.
Okay, so by making the focus more specific and personal for them, where you're rubbing it in their face, they're going to be much more affected. Okay.
So we have the first reaction. So that's the true nature, which reveals the pattern.
That will start to reveal the pattern because it's showing you want them triggered by the topic, not traumatized. I mean affected and triggered. Yeah. Because then it's showing you how they're behaving towards it, right? It's showing you their behaviors. They will wake up to how they're behaving. So this is what's scaring me. This is what's enticing me, right? And by them investing in it, creating strong relationship to that focus, it increases the energy they're putting into it and the energy they're putting into their own reactions and behaviors, okay? Many coaches and leaders will complain that their clients are ambiguous, unaffected, apathetic, right? It's because they're keeping a safe distance from the issue, and therefore you can't see any clear patterns going on, and it becomes confusing, and you'll get lots of distractions and red herrings from the client. When you get a strong focus with strong relationship and strong investment, there's very clear reactions, so that even if they say, oh, that doesn't affect me, you'll see clearly on their face they're angry, or that they're sad, or that they're happy, because you got them in such a strong relationship with themselves and the issue at hand. That's really what we want. Everyone functions emotionally and energetically. We're very good at hiding it by keeping distance. Okay.
So we are rubbing it into his nose.
Yeah,
Nose into the topic. Then the relationship appears, and what I find quite interesting.
A truthful relationship appears. A relationship that can't hide from. Yeah.
So a truthful relationship appears, and the very next step is it that we then invite the person, the client, to connect this truthful relationship to their essence.
I would separate it out first. We got the strong relation. Okay. Now let's put that aside temporarily and just focus on isolating their essence, meaning don't relate it yet to the topic, but just almost like take a hard left and say, all right, we got something really clear on the table. And I'll switch directions, like, all right, what's the energy you're using now to deal with it? Oh, I hate it. Ooh, that's a strong energy. Yeah, I'm angry, I'm frustrated. Great. Let's not think about the topic, but just the pure energy of the frustration, of the anger or the hate. What's that giving back to you? That's fueling them. And they don't realize they're actually being resilient. Okay? It's colored by their perception. I feel like a victim. I want to fight back. I need to be a warrior. That's all coloration. We just want the pure energy. What's the adrenaline you get? What's the, right?
We have the truthful relationship on the one side. Once we have this, we build up the energy, being it negative or positive, I don't care. That the energy is there. It's just a polarity in a sense. The connection phase only happens in the third step.
Well, then what we want is, once we've anchored that essential energy, meaning we've discussed this in previous webinars, you take that pure energy and reconnect it to their well-being, what's unconditional here, right? So that they are the internal source of that energy. They're no longer victim, okay? Now we bridge it back to the original focus and see what shifts. Coming from a place of strength or resilience, now come back in relationship to that situation. What's the first response from the resilient place? And they'll already notice, oh, it isn't as bad or threatening as I thought. In fact, this might be an opportunity for me. Already there's a resilient relationship with the focus. We build resilience in the person and then put them in resilient relationship with their topic. And already that's providing creative solution. Now that solution is just an idea. They'll realize, aha, in order to really manifest that solution, it's going to require something of me. Okay, that's why I need to desire the solution and be willing to go through the hard work to get to solution. That's the point of the exploration. That's the beginning of manifesting it. Because when we set out the map, it's only we've got the idea of the solution. Okay, these are little seeds and kernels. We spend the rest of the session now fleshing it out. All right. So if you have an hour-long session, you could spend 15 minutes setting up this map of the territory, this foundation. Then you've got 45 more minutes to do the real work, all right? And, but without this foundation in place, you may spend a whole hour chasing false issues and just going in circles, all right?
So
the client can say, yeah.
This first initial 15 minutes would cover roughly uncovering the truthful relationship, building our essence, and reconnecting essence to their well-being. So that's basically the foundation in a nutshell.
Part of that's these 3 green squares: focus, investment, and resilience.
So what else do we need then?
Then you need, all right, in order to get to that future outcome you want, or in order to have that resilient relationship with your topic, what will it demand of you? What do you need to face or confront or overcome in yourself? And that's going to reveal the exploration. What's the bridge you need to cross in order to get there? Aha, it will demand that I let go of this or take on that, all right? Then how much do you want that? And how willing are you to go through the pain to get that, if there's pain? Now we've got desire, will, and exploration. Okay, so it's not enough just to say we've got a clear focus, we're invested in what I need to change, and I'm resilient to change it. No, there's a layer underneath. What does it demand of me? Meaning I have to let go of something, I have to overcome something, I have to face something. That's, they're realizing, the point of the exploration is they realize, aha, this is what I need to deconstruct. I know what I want to construct, but in order to do that, I have to deconstruct something in myself in order to reconstruct. And that might feel destabilizing, uncomfortable. I'm moving into unknown territory. How willing am I to go through that? What do I know is going to take me through that? That's my resilience. All right. My willpower says I will push through. And my desire says I want to push through. And it's not because I have to, it's because I want to. Do you understand the difference? Have to and want to?
Yes, I understand the difference. It's a big difference.
Big difference.
It's like resilience. Like if
Yeah.
I'm resilient, I want everything that I do, because when there's something I don't want to do and I'm resilient, I won't do it until I'm convinced that it's the right thing.
Yes.
That's how I experience it.
In my experience, I've taken groups, I've taken individuals through what they at first thought was going to be a very painful process. And once I got that foundation set up, they're like, let's go, hurry up, let's go. I really want to, I want to confront my demon of being out of control. I really want to get through that. Like, whereas before they're being out of control. Whoa, what are you, insane? I have to maintain control, right? So this is a great formula for taking people willingly by their choice, not yours, or not by choice of their fear, where they say, I really want to work on something in myself, and it becomes a pleasure. And it's an enjoyable process for them. It's like, I know I'm taking a risk jumping out of a plane, but I also know the thrill. I know why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And I know I'm scared, but I'm also determined. And I also know I'm capable. I also know I've tested my parachute. It works. I also know I've practiced how to leap and land, and I'm ready, right? That accelerates the transformation process because they're ready, they're willing, and they have their own autonomous desire to get them through it, to move through it, as opposed to them trying to obligate themselves or stress themselves out or force themselves. That's why transformation would not be sustainable, because it was never willingly done by choice. Even if they claimed it was their choice, it wasn't, because they felt they had no choice except to transform, because they did not want to deal with the alternative. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a polarity.
It's polarity, yeah. I'm going to show you the next slide here, because we're getting close to time here. We're at time. Simple sample questions, all right? When we're establishing the focus, what are we focusing on specifically today in the session, all right? Or what's your topic, right? Get them to be more specific around it. So it's not so that you can get more information, it's so that the more specific they get, the more concrete it is, the more they're affected, all right? How is this affecting you personally, and why today? Why deal with this today? What's the urgency here, okay? That's what makes it really up close for them. Then you can choose, hey, I'm going to build investment or resilience. It doesn't matter which one. Sample questions for the investment is, so what is it that you want to change? What do you want to see that's different? How will you benefit from that? And what's possible or available then for you? That takes them into that future outcome, and they can reap the reward. Then you can throw in, hey, so how much do you want that? Oh, I want that a lot. Okay, great. You may want to build some resilience and say, all right, so problem not solved. Maybe the problem will never be solved. What enables you to tolerate it? How are you not dead yet? How are you still alive, right? What's the strength you're already using to deal with this? What if you access that strength masterfully on a daily basis, that you're pretty adept with it? What would that change for you? What would that make available? Now imagine that from that strength, what's it like to deal with the issue? Already there's going to be a shift and a solution. So imagine that, look how easily you're now grappling with the problem. How much do you want to cultivate that ability within yourself? That's again going to build desire. For both the resilience and the investment, all right, in order to master this, in order to make this a daily phenomenon, what does it demand of you? And that's going to start revealing the exploration, the real thing they need to explore. Right? So you could screen capture that and try that with your next client, asking some of those basic questions. And you're going to bounce around. Don't look at this as A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. A little bit of focus builds a little bit of investment, builds a little bit of resilience, reinforces investment, reinforces focus, sparks up desire and will, and they all start converging together. So look at this more like a paint by numbers, and you're painting a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, but they're all interrelating and it converges. Okay.
Sorry, just to confirm.
Yeah.
The outer triangle, the blue line.
Yeah.
It is the preparation phase, while the desire and will and the exploration phase is the journey.
Well, it's a fractal. So to be honest here, you're already slaying the dragon by going through this outside triangle.
True.
It's just unmasking the dragon layer by layer by layer. Okay.
You're unmasking him. You're unmasking a dragon without confronting it.
Yeah.
The confrontation happens later.
Yes, the actual, that's the point of then the exploration phase, because we have a 4-phase architecture. You have your foundation, exploration, integration, and application. So just in the foundation, you're unmasking that dragon. Then they actually go in the forest and they start dealing with the dragon. And with each dragon they slay, they're integrating new strengths. That's the integration phase. Then they can go back out into the world and use the rewards, use the new strengths, and actually take action on their issues, okay? So in a way, this is like a preparation and a practice run. It's already getting them familiar with what they're going to confront. Then during the session, you're going to do the actual confrontation work, yes, and out in the world.
The dragon is not really a specific, well, it's actually a specific step in our journey, which only is there to manifest our strengths, which is building up prior to meeting that dragon.
That's right.
So it has started before, but the dragon just as a focal point, manifesting it, I feel.
Right, and the more you build investment and resilience, the less threatening the dragon becomes for them. It might be like big threat, but then it changes its status. It becomes smaller, 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 and more manageable because we're building the resilience, the courage, the creativity of the client to match the level of the dragon, all right? So it doesn't become such a behemoth, all right, a monster. It actually becomes more manageable. And I found, once I've spent a little bit of time here, just in the foundation, it's like there isn't much to slay at all. Because a lot of times we have this big fearful buildup of what we think is a dragon. Once we start unmasking it through a resilient process, it's actually very easy to slay. And in fact, it might be slayed before we even have swung our sword. And I'm saying that sometimes happens and sometimes it's very surprising. So this is a mini fractal of the entire journey of the transformation. But this is, again, creating the map of the territory. Then they have to actually go and explore the territory and use it. Okay, so they have to actually enter the forest. But this is the setup before they enter the forest. Okay. I may do another, webinar or something on the actual exploration phase and that, but that's partly what all our techniques are for in the modules, is you're learning all those exploration and integration techniques, okay? This I give up front and first and foremost. I mean, and everyone has all your coaching tools, all your leadership tools. Those are for exploration and integration. But rarely is this foundation properly taught or set up, okay? They just say, go use your tools. It's like, go build a house. You got the wood, you got the nails, just go build it. And well, wait a minute. I need to plan this out. I need to get it set up. I need, there's a little bit of setup before I actually start hammering the nails and digging the foundation and constructing, right? So this is like plan the house, dig the foundation, know what you're up for, okay? I think I'm beating a dead horse here. Let's look at the summary here. So really important, create a strong relationship to the topic, because that's going to create strong sparks of resilience and investment. That's really what you want. All right. Get the client to be specific, make it feel personal, get them up close to it. Okay. That's going to strengthen the relationship, and it's going to create emotional and mental investment. All right. So they get strong sparks of energy. Remember that taking time to build resilience, that naturally leads to creativity, innate creativity and willpower. That's what's going to open up to solution. Fear will not open up to solution. It's just going to recycle everything they've tried and known, okay? So this whole setup of the foundation is actually a fractal for the whole session, because they already have a solution discovered. The rest of the session is meant, what do you need to work on or confronting yourself in order to manifest that solution? Right? And then they'll be far more willing to take action. When you're taking resilience and feeding it back to their well-being, that gives them a reinforced strength. That has them reinforce their capability. It's not about courage. It is about capability to slay the dragon. Courage is a byproduct. When you are resilient, when you have that sort of Excalibur, and you know that that is a permanent part of you, that there's an invincibility, then there's no such thing as fear and courage as a polarity, okay? There's a fearlessness. You may experience fear as an energy, but you're not buying into it, okay? You can work with it and around it. So keep in mind that the real dragon to slay is not the initial topic. The real dragon will be revealed a bit later as you work with the focus and the investment and the resilience. That will emerge naturally and gradually. It's a hidden pattern. In order for the client to reach their desired outcome, like this is ideally what I want, they have to understand they've got to cross a bridge to that desired outcome. And by crossing that bridge, they are going to confront something within themselves, or they're going to need to overcome something within themselves, okay? But that will allow them to acquire a new strength. So they need to be made aware of what is that new strength they can acquire, how is that a reward, and if that's going to increase their desire, and if there's pain or discomfort in order to get that reward, what is it worth to them? Because if it's not worth much, then don't bother with the dragon. It's easier to tolerate the dragon than to slay it, okay? And that brings me to another point coming up here, which is if they have low investment, low desire, or low willpower, then don't just drop it and see what happens. If this isn't important to you, then don't work on it. What is important? Or they'll say, no. In a way, another trick is by taking away the issue and say, hey, it's solved. They'll say, no, it's not. They're actually going to have more investment in the topic the moment you threaten to take it away. Or, well, let's not bother with it. You're fine with it. No, I'm not. They'll actually gain more clarity and investment by threatening to take it away. The other thing is, the first step in any transformation is an acceptance of the circumstance. Don't rush to change the circumstance, but first acknowledge this is the circumstance. I'm not getting along with my colleagues. I wish I could. I wish it were different. But the point is, today, I am not. And we're wasting a lot of time to wish, hope, and pray it could be different, because that's a foundation of non-acceptance. As soon as they say, yeah, I don't like it, but we're not getting along, that's already going to release some energy. And that's already going to drop them into some kind of a resilient state. And it's the resilience and the desire that will create not the transformation, but the transmutation of themselves. And then the transformation is a byproduct. So what's important is clear focus, invested vision of what they want, plus resilience. And that creates increased desire and willpower to do the real work. And it does require real work. What are you taking away? I know it's a lot of information. I told you it's going to be a lot. I'm still kind of giving it a light touch. What makes this feel simple or clear for you, if you could reduce it?
The idea that I can always envision a future where the problem does not exist.
Mm-hmm.
I find this very cool.
And then be sure to check out, how does that vision affect me back? What does it promote in my well-being? Because that's the awakening strength and resilience.
It's like, yeah, it's awakening, really. It's like, yeah, of course I want it. So I was stumbling a bit on over your words when you said tolerated dragon. But it might make sense, but isn't it always kind of an equal big dragon to the value that you can get out of it?
Well, here, when a client arrives, they've been tolerating that dragon. It's been the elephant in the room for a long time, and they're turning a blind eye to it. Okay? So they could keep doing that. But they're creating this inner battle within themselves. Like, I know it's there, but I'm pretending it's not. But I know it's there, I'm pretending it's not. And that's wasted energy. That energy can be rechanneled into a constructive, resilient, creative energy. Because it is resilience. It takes resilience to turn a blind eye to the elephant in the room. They just don't realize it. They've been spending all their energy trying to wish it away or push it away or fight it. Rather, they could channel that energy, we regenerate it, so they can actually confront it for what it is and integrate the elephant in the room or the dragon. Because that's really what they're doing, is they're integrating the dragon. It's almost like a dissociated strength, or it's a signal for a strength that hasn't been awoken in them. If that's awoken, hasn't woken up.
Yeah.
So the dragon is a manifestation of our energy.
Yep.
So the manifestation just manifests what happens in the preparation before, and once it appears, there's something appeared which I can integrate.
That's right.
Requires to build up some other ability.
Right.
And how does that relate actually to the other thing you mentioned, which would be needed there? So integrating itself is not sufficient.
We're integrating it. Then we need to apply the integration, meaning we've got to go out in the world and be taking action. And there's two kinds of actions we can take. This is discussed in other webinars, but one is an action to keep reinforcing the resilience, to use the resilient energy and strength. It doesn't have to be directly applied to the issue, all right? If I have a new level of self-esteem, self-worth, then I'm going to do some daily actions that keep reinforcing that energy, so I don't go back to the old pattern of perfectionism and self-punishment. Then the other action is directly to not only just using the resilience, the resilient energy, but applying it towards the situation. Okay, so that means, all right, I'm going to work on my self-esteem, my confidence level, my self-appreciation here. That's my daily practice for building the energy. Then next week, I'm going to go have a conversation with one of my colleagues, and we're going to discuss one of the projects we're doing. And I'm going to approach the relationship differently because I'm coming from this new practiced place of self-appreciation and generosity, for example. So they need to put it to the test, right? And
so it's a back and forth, isn't it?
It's a back and forth.
So I'm constructing, deconstructing to integrate, and then reapplying it, but on a different level. So
Yeah.
I'm switching back and forth,
Yeah.
moving up the levels.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's fine. I like this.
So that they're integrating what the dragon is presenting to them, incorporating it, instead of recreating the dragon out there from a fearful place and traumatizing themselves with it, all right? Because when we're in fearful relationship with the dragon, we're feeding it fear, it's getting more fearful, it's debilitating us, and it's just amplifying. It's very much like, think of the Wizard of Oz, when Dorothy and her pals enter, you know, the Emerald City, and there's the big projection of the wizard going, rah, 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 get away, I'm scaring you. And then Toto pulls the curtain back, and you see this little old man at the controls, and he's controlling that projection, right? That's what we mean by unmasking the dragon. We're neutralizing the fear that we fed into the relationship, looking at it for what it really is. We're internalizing that, so we're incorporating it back into ourselves. We need to take action afterwards to keep reinforcing that new relationship. Otherwise, we're going to rebirth that dragon out there, and it's going to become the wizard again, right? Because we're feeding it fear. So take it inwards, but it takes resilience to be able to integrate.
Yeah. The dragon, is it a side effect of the relationship?
It's really an externalization of something we're unwilling to accept within ourselves.
So if we focus on the dragon with a fear-based relationship, it's a different story. It's a whole different story than we reinforce a resilience in a relationship. Then it's just oh, that's this dragon thing, I can cope with that. Yeah. So I'm not very much invested in victimized setting with that.
Yeah, so
incorporate it.
That's right. The core of it is every session, whether you're a coach, consultant, leader, psychologist, therapist, you're facilitating the cultivation of a resilient relationship with self. That's what you're really cultivating. From there, they can have now a resilient relationship with their dragon. They can have a resilient relationship with their world and everything else. But the core is cultivating a resilient relationship with self. And then everything else extends from there. But in order to get to that resilient relationship with self, we need to start working from the outside, gradually coming in, and then reincorporating it back out. All right. So we have our modules all about building resilience. Module 1 is getting the foundation of resilience. Module 2 is working with strong resistance, neutralizing fear, reactivity. Module 3 is putting that all together, working with those exploration and integration phases and application phases. There's many techniques to integrate resilience, identity, and essence all together. And then we have a special conflict workshop, which is coming up in June, and we're going to do that online. Torsten is going to assist. And then we also have our facilitation and team dynamics. It's the same concepts, except it's on richer levels because you have the group identity, the various relationships, plus the individuals. They all have different levels of resilience and resistance. So next webinar is next week, May 27th on Wednesday. It's War Games of Identity. So this is going to delve into a little bit of identity politics, how we have war games with ourselves, with each other, how we use identity as a shield and as ways of manipulating each other. These are control tactics in order to, let's say, keep feeding dragons instead of dealing with the dragon, all right? So it's going to be a very interesting webinar on how to work with identity issues and become more resilient, so we can be more flexible with our identity and not cling to it. Right? That's going to be next Wednesday, May 27th. And I'm going to offer Module 1 again online June 12th to 14th. So we'll see how that goes. And then I may offer it again during the summer as well. So if interested, contact me, info@essence-dynamics.com, or visit the website, essence-dynamics.com. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and that's where you'll find the recording of this webinar. So any final words from all you guys? Thank you for attending this webinar. Thank you for staying the extra time. Any final words from you, or inspirations, or?
Like cultivating resilience, like spending like some time per day on resilience, on desire, on willpower before engaging a personal topic is an idea I got from this webinar. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, and it could be a few seconds, a few minutes. It doesn't take long. It takes longer to deal with fear. It takes an instant to deal with resilience.
Yeah.
What was that, Paul?
What's new for me is like really saying, okay, I have a big topic and I'm not really sure how I'm going to handle it and everything. And I tried to get through it in a mode, but it didn't work out, and I'm like still stuck. I need really to learn and expand my capabilities of some sort. So it's not just like this. And for that, I really got this idea from this webinar too. I can spend an hour like just for the resilience. Maybe it's overdoing it. I will try it, how it works for me. But when I spend an hour per day, like making a timer or something, and then challenging me with those questions of the topic, blah, 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 and capturing the resilience sparks for myself each time, I should be able to really get a strong motion. Yeah. And it never occurred to me like that, because I was always like client focused, like you have 1 hour of a session and in this hour you're going to solve the issue. Well, then again, you have like several hours over the course of a couple of weeks or something, but still it's always like focus on 1 hour. But for myself, I don't have to do it like that.
Cool. I'd say, let it be a couple minutes several times during the day, just constant reminders to get back in touch. And other webinars we've done is how to anchor that resilience, but and these are like resilience buttons that you can push in yourself. And it's really practicing how to reorient our mind back into a resilient state, because we've been so conditioned to operate through a fear-driven state. That we know. We've never been, or rarely encouraged, to come from a resilient state, because we're taught to get our energy from external sources. Right? Any final words from any of you? Last chance. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you all for attending, and thank you all for listening to the recording. And if you have further questions, feel free to contact me, and we'll see you again next week or in future webinars.